Hey everybody, watch another episode of the Whiskey Crusaders. Today I've got a special stream for you guys. Told you I got this on Monday, so we've got Rick and Ricky. So it makes it easy. You only got one name to remember, so it's a plus. Just try to do both here, and we've got 15 stars on. We're gonna let them tell us all about their history and mash bills and all the super nerdy, awesome stuff on their bottles. I mean, they have all sorts of fun things on here that I'm super excited to learn about. So I guess which one of you wants to introduce yourself first, and we'll go from there.
I'll go first, I guess.
Okay.
I'm Ricky Johnson, the younger of the two, the son of the couple here, and one of the two that started 15 Stars.
Awesome. All right.
And Rick Johnson, I'm going to claim to be the wiser of the two. I don't know how that'll come out over time, but I don't want to say the older, but I guess it is true.
Someone does have to come first. I mean, that is kind of how it works.
Yeah, Ricky and I are obviously father-son, and one of the great pleasures of doing this business is working as a father-son team. I did it with my dad, and
nice
business, built a chain of convenience stores to a couple hundred stores, and it was a real pleasure. And it's a rare thing, and it's happening again, and it's really a special thing when it works. So we're loving this. We're loving the whiskey business.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, convenience stores are probably fun, but I bet which was just a little bit more fun than convenience stores.
They're both good. They're both good. But and I would say this is what I've been in several businesses since the convenience stores where we built a great business. And what I like about both of these businesses is the people in these businesses are both great. And really, since I left that early oil convenience store business and got into the whiskey business, I think this more closely, is emblematic of just how great people in an industry can work together and in a really cool way. So it's a wonderful business in that respect. A lot of great people.
Absolutely, yeah. So you guys are on the forefront of definitely coming American trend of blending good whiskey together, which we really appreciate that. I know it's fun. Of course, blending used to be a dirty word in the industry. Now it's not. Everybody's finding, there's really great things. So how did the company come about, and why 15 stars?
I think Ricky ought to start with that one.
All right.
So he did it. It's his fault.
It's his fault.
So originally, back when I was in college and even a little before, I would work with our family on another business called Black Jewel Popcorn, which a popcorn company that sells small heirloom corns. Give you a size reference there for how small the ears of corn are. So sold those in kernel microwave, ready to eat, different varieties. But one summer when I was home from college, it was my dad's idea. He asked me if I would like to see if we could turn those corns into bourbon. So,
awesome idea.
Right. I agree. And so basically the idea was for me to create a business plan, being a business student at the time, more as an exercise and less as we're going to do this. But as the summer progressed, we had learned a lot, made some connections, one of those being with Bardstown Bourbon Company. I'm sure you're familiar with.
I am familiar with them.
Yeah, great people and make a lot of great bourbon. And as of November 2019, we started distilling this small irrigation.
Very cool.
So, so 4 years this past November. It's getting old, not quite where we want it, but it will be soon. But in the meantime, we were playing with different, types of bourbon, trying to figure out what variables affected bourbon in which way, whether that's rye in the mash bill, the rye content, whether it's different types of barrel chars, X, Y, and Z. And the end of all those tastings, we would always blend everything together, just out of curiosity to see what it was like. And found that oftentimes we liked the blends more than we liked the individual components. And so that kind of sparked something where from then on we began blending with a little bit more intention. So actually trying to create profiles rather than it just being randomness. This is great. This didn't quite work out.
Yeah, yeah.
And we ended up getting to a place where we could blend some things we really enjoyed, and we started sourcing aged whiskey from different distilleries in Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee to back up that blending
Okay.
and allow us to play with a lot of different mash bills and create different unique things.
Awesome.
But maybe talking about the brand, Dad, would you like to explain the meaning of 15 stars?
Sure, happy to. We really, we have a really have a love for Kentucky, and it's Kentucky is the home of bourbon, the spiritual home of bourbon. It's really it's over time. I mean, Kentucky has become that spiritual home of bourbon, really because of two things. One, the length of time, right, and the craftsmanship, and the years and decades and centuries, let's call it,
Right.
of people perfecting the craft of distilling. And then it's just in that spot in America, right, where you just have everything right, from you put those charred barrels and fill them with with the white dog, and it has the perfect climate for maturing for the very greatest bourbon. So we really wanted to come up with something that really picked that whole history up. And so we've 15 stars recognizes Kentucky as the 15th state of the union. 1792 is obviously when
Right.
it became a state of the union. But 1795, George Washington signed an act making the second U.S. flag of 15 stars and 15 stripes, recognizing Kentucky as the 15th state. So, it really goes back to that history and heritage, and bourbon being America's native spirit, that history of America that really recognizes Kentucky as the first state west of the Appalachians. And so we're just kind of we're anchoring it in Kentucky, which is the home of bourbon, and where America's native spirit really has developed to its very finest. And so
Absolutely.
we do blend, as Ricky said. In some of the bourbons, we have some that are just straight Kentucky. We always have Kentucky product, but we do also, as he was saying, we really have acquired a pretty significant inventory of highly aged bourbons. We are distilling. We started distilling, but then we figured out it's going to take 100 years to get the age we wanted. What feels like 100 years.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, time can't beat time.
We're not 4-year bourbon fans. Let's just say that. We really like mature bourbons and how they work together. And so we sourced a great group of bourbons, which are now from 20 years old down to, all the way down to, 8 or so that we've sourced. So we love the idea of finding those spirits that we really believe in, and then finding ways, as Ricky said, to blend those together very carefully. Everything doesn't blend well together.
Sure.
But if you spend time and you get to know these bourbons, and you take the time to really put them together artfully and craftfully, you can really bring a sense of dimension and complexity to that drink that's very, very difficult to get any other way. And,
this is very true.
And we've had outstanding luck. Let's call it. I mean, it takes hard work to get luck, but we've had outstanding results in the blind taste competition. So we feel really fortunate with that.
Yeah, it's always fun when it's a blind, especially when it's a new brand that nobody knows what it is, and that's what makes it even more fun when you win things.
Yeah. And honestly, those blind tasting competitions mean so much to new brands.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Because to get a name out there is just really hard to do. And so if we have to win by name, we're just not going to do it.
Right. There's just too many brands that have been, like you said,
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So those tasting competitions have really given us an opportunity, being blind, to stand out a little bit, and we are so thankful for the folks that run the great competitions.
How many awards have you got? Obviously, I've won quite a few at this point. How many are you guys up to at this point in winning?
I believe it to be 84.
Holy crap! Alrighty,
I
I guess the
counted.
blend might be successful.
Yeah, I counted the other day. I'm waiting for it to get over 85 so we can say that it's 85 plus.
I'm waiting for 100.
Yeah, hundreds. There you go. That's a good number.
But
It's
let's
three
talk.
digit winning.
Let's just say something about those awards, and we're tickled to death with all of them.
Yeah.
But what we really, really believe is that, I mean, a gold and a double gold and a platinum and a platinum, double platinum, those are great, right?
Sure.
We are 100% thankful for those. But we have been able to stand out in some pretty, in a pretty good number of finalists for best, and then actually best in category and best in show. So at some point, maybe as we walk through, I don't know when you want us to talk about that, but we
will absolutely do that.
Yeah,
for sure. Hold on one second. My wife just got home from the hospital work. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. So let's talk about too on your bottles, what all the symbolisms is on here, as well as you got this awesome cap on here, and then this, I guess that's a lady. So can you tell me about those? Because like I said, I know you guys are super into history, so I'd love to hear what all that means.
Want me to start, Ricky, or you want to take it?
Either way.
You do both.
Yeah. I'll start with the closure.
Okay.
So that's kind of the most significant piece on the bottle. If I'm sure you can feel it there. It's a full metal.
It is a girthy. I mean, like they say. I mean,
pretty
this is like a weapon, man. I mean, this thing is stout.
Yeah. It's heavy duty, very heavy duty, and we tried to replicate the old coinage of the United States.
Hey, that's cool.
All of the first coinage of the U.S. Actually had 15 stars on it.
I didn't know that.
In that same time that Kentucky was being represented as the 15th state on the second flag. So that is a 1795 silver dollar. It's actually a combination of the front and the back of one.
Okay.
Gold being from the back and the stars surrounding.
Yep. And actually, the lady you mentioned is, on the neck is the front of the silver bottle.
Oh,
actually, that's Liberty,
okay.
and on the back the eagle, and 15 stars again, as Ricky said, on all the coinage. So that just goes back to the very first coinage of the United States. The federal period of the United States, again, George Washington president, and Kentucky is the 15th state of the Union. And that's really kind of, it's beyond the colonial time, right, where there were 13 colonies.
Right.
And so the federal period of the U.S., when George Washington gets elected president, and we're forming our government and kind of putting together, what still currently exists. Kentucky was really a key element to the United States at that point in time.
Absolutely. That's really cool. Okay. I do have a question about your little corn now. So the corn you are distilling, do you guys have that specially grown for you guys, or is that something a farmer you guys found, or how did you get that black corn you have there?
So originally it was made and sold through the brand Black Jewel. Had been with that brand for decades. And we purchased the brand early 2010s.
Okay.
And then it's proprietary to us. We're the only people who own that strain. It's an heirloom corn, along with the red, white, and blue corns that also are part of that.
Where do those grow?
Say again?
Where do they grow at?
We grow them in Indiana and Illinois and Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's all it's used for, just for your distilling and your popcorn business, and that's it essentially. That's very cool. You guys are growing.
We're the only people keeping those strains alive.
Yeah, I love corn nerdiness, so that to me is very exciting. So I'm sure, obviously, you guys appreciate, because we've got some brands here that are also just as insane about their corn. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Love to see how those end up tasting. Now, have you also distilled your red, white, and blue, or just the black one?
Yeah, we're really distilling all of those: red, white, blue, some heirloom yellow, the black.
Oh, I'm excited.
We started with the black first, and
Okay.
then it was maybe 6 months later we started on the others. We also distill some of them together, like the red. We do a red, white, and blue together in
Sweet.
a ratio that we thought would produce something really interesting.
Okay.
The wheat is in the black corn is in a wheated mash bill.
Okay. What's the
and
percentages on it?
70, 18, 12. Am I right there, Ricky?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then 70, 18, 12 on rye on the others.
Okay. Okay.
So, and what's interesting is each of those corns, we grow as a popcorn. And the only reason they exist today is they taste really, really good as a popcorn. And
Yeah,
so,
that's cool.
and they taste different. Each of them tastes very different as a popcorn.
Oh, I bet.
And we didn't know when we started into this, when we start distilling these corns, would it just kind of be corn?
Sure.
Yes. And honestly, a yellow popcorn, if you distill a traditional yellow popcorn, a non-heirloom corn, it's hard to tell the difference between that and a number 2 dent, which is mostly what's in there. But these all taste different as a popcorn, and they all express themselves very, very differently in the whiskey. From the white dog, that initially comes off the still until, the oldest we have now is that black, which is 4.5 years old. And the unique flavors have carried through in that since day one, and very different than the red, very different than the white, very different than the blue. Every one of them really has its own individual expression, and we couldn't be more tickled about that.
That's awesome.
Again, when it comes to blending at some point, we'll let these out on their own.
Sure.
But when it comes to blending, we've got some really, really, totally unique flavors, right?
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to trying it when you guys release them. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So your distillery there, how many barrels do you guys laying down right now of your guys' stuff, and then also the blends you guys? And how many barrels do you guys have currently there?
We got quite a few.
What if you-
We're distilling neighborhood-ish of 4,000 barrels.
Holy crap! Okay, you have a lot.
Yeah, so we got a rich inventory that we're gonna
Very nice.
work with. And maybe Ricky, I'll tell you about this rye. We're really excited about a special rye.
Yes. Okay, tell me about the rye, Rick.
Yeah. So out of, we're doing our heirloom corns in quite a few different mash bills or different ways of distilling them. But a neat one that we have coming up, we've only been distilling it for 2.5, maybe 3 years now, is our it's a barely legal rye. So 45, 4, 51 rye.
Yeah.
And the 44 corn is a blend of white and black heirloom corns.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, so it's something unique, and we believe to be the only rye that uses colored corns or heirloom corns. Because most people who have unique corns tend to make bourbon.
Right.
The logical thing to do there, but we wanted to make a rye.
I think that sounds awesome, man.
Yeah.
And again, from the white dog stage to now, it's got a really rich, unique flavor, and we just can't wait for it to.
Yeah,
I think we'll hold on to them. The rye, who knows on the rye? We'll just keep tasting them, but.
Yeah,
we like those whiskeys that get to at least that 6-year age frame and older, where you get that spot where the graininess in the alcohol is dissipating, right? It's constantly lightening up, and then you've also got those rich caramelization flavors from a charred oak barrel, right? That really start influencing. So the decrease in the flavor, the alcohol, and the graininess that starts there in a white dog, that just over time that gets smoother, and lighter, and then of course those barrel flavors are gorgeous.
The magic that happens. What barrel char level are you guys using? Or are you just doing an experiment with a bunch of them?
Mostly char 4.
Oh, nice. You're char 4. Awesome. I love to hear that. So now your rye, are you using a special rye varietal as well, or just like an Elbon rye or something different than that?
Nothing special on the rye variety.
Okay.
Yeah. traditional rye. Yeah.
Okay, that's very cool. So say hi to our friends here in the chat. We got Bourbon Bites. That's Clifton. If you haven't checked out his channel, check him out. Got Trey and Andy just came here while he's making dinner. So couldn't be a better thing to listen to about some amazing whiskey. So let's pour some whiskey and talk about what we got here, and then we'll go back to some more of this fun, nerdy history that I'm loving here. So the first one I think we're going to do is this. You want to start with the bourbon or start with the rye? Which is your guys' preference?
Start with the bourbon.
All right. So we got this 15 stars. We got the fine age bourbon, the private stock 8 and 15. And then you guys are free to talk any ones you want to, but that's the ones I got. We'll start with that one, and then we'll go to all the other cool stuff you guys have on the market.
Sure. So the 8 and 15-year-old private stock, actually, we just released at the beginning of last month. Fairly new release, but our private stock series, not quite as new. We released our 7 and 15-year-old private stock in August of 2022. It was actually our second release ever.
Nice.
Which was a really cool bourbon. Getting to blend together, 7 is still a mature bourbon. It's not a super young bourbon.
No, it's not. Yeah,
not at all. But 15 being on the very mature side.
That's definitely on the older side.
There's plenty of room in there to create a wild dynamic. They're two really different things. So blending those two together can be tricky, but you can get something really cool out of it. So that 7 and 15 had a really nice, oak backbone to it, but still had some fruity, ripe fruit, apricot, nectarine sort of flavors to it. But the 8 and 15, the second batch, you could say, is a little bit different. You can see for yourself, but has definitely matured. So the only difference is it's the same distillates in the blend. The 7 turned 8.
Nice.
So you'd be surprised in a year of aging the change that it went through, but it is a very different product.
Cool.
The way I kind of see it is a lot of those ripe fruit notes kind of turned into dried fruit notes.
Okay.
Is kind of a simple way to put it. Kind of toned down. We got some more of those kind of dessert sugary notes rather than the ripe fruit. But a very unique bourbon. We just started getting its first competition result just came back. Got a platinum at the LA Spirits competition, which is their highest category. So we're really happy to hear that.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I like the proof on 107. Very nice.
Yeah, so maybe we should touch on that. Proofing is something that we put a lot of importance on. And we call what we do flavor proofing. And the idea behind that is that rather than proofing low for cost or volume, or proofing high to put cask strength on it and maybe sell a few more bottles.
Sure.
Rather than proofing as an afterthought, we proof during our blending process because, you've had whiskey on a rock before.
Sure.
It doesn't taste the same as that ice melts.
Totally.
It changes as you add water. If you've ever put a few drops of water in a bourbon, it changes how it smells, how it tastes, it opens it up. So what we're doing is as we're playing with different percentages, we are also playing with those percentages of the blend at different proof levels, all the way up and down the scale. So really trying to find, blend, the best blend may be blend A at 105 proof.
Sure.
That doesn't necessarily mean the second best blend is also blend A at a different proof. It might be blend B at 110 proof. And you would never know that if you only proofed your final blend.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's the thought process, is to exhaust the options.
Man, so then do you take so if you're doing that, you're taking a bunch of different proof levels to then get to the 107, or that just you put it all together and proof down to 107? Or is it like one's 110, one's 105 when you start? How does that usually work when you play that blending game?
So we're early on, we're not proofing as much because you're more so finding direction. Okay, I like the blend better when it's a majority of this distillate, or more of this, less of that, whatever. You're just kind of figuring out the general direction you want to go. But as It's when you're narrowing down in the plus or minus, 15% of each. So I wouldn't say plus or minus. That's a 30% difference. Let's say plus or minus 7.5%.
Okay.
And it's narrowing down. Then we'll start proofing pretty much all of the blends we make, and we're changing percentages by 1 or 2% in some instances because it really does change the profile. You wouldn't think.
Wow.
Especially in this 8 and 15 and the 7 and 15 private stocks, that 15-year-old is a very oaky thing. So if you change it by 1%, you will taste a difference side by side.
Wow.
For sure.
It's interesting. It's a pretty, I mean, it's fun, I will say that, but it's work too.
Right.
I mean, it isn't something that, you just slap it together, you just pull it together that we casually do, quite frankly. I mean, it really is a fairly involved process, and you can only do this so long too, right? It's whiskey, and we're only taking little baby sips, but still, your palate is your palate, and Ricky's got an awesome palate, and I guess I'm feeling like mine is decent, It really is a process where you have to go through kind of a lot of small variations.
Sure.
Go away from it, right?
Yeah.
Come back to it again another day.
And it changes every day too, and that's got to be super frustrating.
And it really kind of is. And a whiskey yourself, right? You can on a certain day at a certain time, you'll have the approach matters, and so we really try. You can't rush whiskey. It's kind of like, putting whiskey out, a 4-year whiskey is a 4-year whiskey. There's good things.
We've all had them, the young ones, and
but
can be good at 4. We've also seen way younger ones that are not great. Let's put it that way.
But you really can't rush it. And really on the blending side, I think it's really the same thing. You really can't rush it. You've got to come back to it a couple of times. You've got to spend a little time with it. And honestly, drinking it is kind of the same way too, right?
That's absolutely
kind of to really get it. That first drink, right? When you take that first drink, that first drink just acclimates your mouth to the alcohol. You're not really getting the flavors. And then it's coming back to it a little bit. It's spending time. And that's one of the great things about bourbon, right? Is that it gives you the opportunity to take some time in an evening, if you're just kind of relaxing, or if you're with one of your buddies, or if you got a family group in. That's the wonderful thing about bourbon, is it kind of gives you the gift of time back, where we get so busy doing so many things and we rush so much stuff, that if we could just take a little time with some great whiskey and some great friends, I mean, that's the gift it gives us.
Absolutely. That is the whole point, is to share it with people and you like, people you don't like, maybe make new friends over it. Certainly. I know I met most of my best friends at liquor stores at this point in time. So,
if you don't like them, you get the 4-year bourbon out.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, guys, this has just changed even from the time I poured it, and of course I poured more since then in the last 20, 30 minutes, and every sip just gets better and better. But yeah, and every time you find something new, a little more oak, a little more vanilla, caramel, whatever. And all, of course, the cool berries you guys described. Yeah, this is really good stuff. Thoroughly enjoying this, to say this. So this all rye, no wheat in this mash bill, or a combination thereof?
No wheat.
No wheat. Okay. So what's the breakdown of different states in this one?
It's all Kentucky.
Oh, this is all Kentucky. Okay.
2 different Kentucky bourbons. Yep.
And we like that. We do like that. That blend of a fully mature bourbon, and it did change between that 7 and 8. At 7, it was much lighter, much more elegant, a wonderful bourbon, right? A wonderful bourbon. But in that 1 year, I mean, these things are alive in that barrel, right? And I guess we should talk about that blending. But in that 1 year, and it wasn't even a full year, but it was a summer. And
that'll do it.
Yeah. And the depth that came to be in that, really expresses itself in here. And so both excellent, but very different. And
Now, was your 7-year at the same proof, or is that different proof because that was better at a different proof than this one, the 107?
this one actually is at the same proof, I believe, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we thought it worked out. It worked out great there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But maybe back to that being alive in a barrel too. That's the other thing we do. We dial this in ahead of time, right? Because we've got to go through TTB, get the
all that fun, sure.
Get the labels, get it all printed up, and so we're dialing in ahead of time. But if it's 3 months ahead, which I'd say is pretty typical, we'll actually repull samples. 3 or 4 weeks ahead.
Yeah.
Repull the samples, reblend, and it's not unusual that it tweaks a little bit, on the blend or on the proof.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because now, have you guys found if you blend at certain times of the day or bottle at certain times, has that made a big difference for you guys? I know some other distilleries have told us about that. Can be a huge issue if it's too hot, too cold, or just different atmospheric pressures for the day. You guys found anything with the blending on that?
I don't think we know that yet.
Okay.
So we're 2 years in, and so I don't think we have been able to identify.
We blend inside.
Yeah. Inside. Okay.
I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that does. I'm sure that does help blending it. So rather than blending out in the rick house or something like that. So
yeah,
that definitely.
Yeah. Our samples are all. I would say we haven't run into something that's we think has been a problem, right?
Okay.
We've been able to blend it, we've been able to dial it in, and we've been
ran
able
into problems. That's just not one of them.
Yeah.
Different problems.
Yeah.
But hey, every day is, I'm sure, got a new problem. But the good news is you fixed it. You made whiskey. So that's the important part. So, and good whiskey at that. So this is really nice. Now, that was a question. So Eric wanted to know on distribution, what states are you guys distributing to right now?
It is a bunch of states. What state is Eric?
Eric,
if you say what state you're in, I can tell you yes or no. But we're in 22 states now.
Okay, so almost half. Nice. Yeah,
So
is Wisconsin one of them by chance, or Oklahoma?
Not Oklahoma yet.
Nope. Okay. Wisconsin, yes.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, what about Texas?
Just entering it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wisconsin in the last 2 months.
So most of them are new. We started in Kentucky. Where else? Right?
That would make sense if that's what it is.
And so we were probably 6 months in Kentucky with really just our 14 and 15-year-old blend, right, Ricky? Our Timeless Reserve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was kind of cool on that one. Ricky came to me one day and said, hey, we got this email that says we're one of 3 finalists for Best Bourbon of the Year at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition.
Holy crap, that's awesome.
And I told him that's BS, right? There's no way, right? It's like the first bourbon, and I figured, there had to be something wrong. And but no, we read in Forbes. Then a few days later, we were one of 3 finalists for Best Bourbon of the Year at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. So a great start with a blend of two really highly aged Kentucky bourbons. An awesome blend, sold out now. We got a couple bottles in the basement, which we do cherish. And but really it was just that bottle in Kentucky. Then we added Indiana and Tennessee.
Okay.
And so for our first year, and we're really only 2 years into this. So April of 2022 was our first release. So we're 2 years into this.
Wow, nice.
And then then we started to add a few more states, but Georgia, Louisiana, Florida, Illinois just started, Ohio going to start very soon, Massachusetts just started. So we're starting to build, just early build into those, those other states, Missouri. So there's a good group of states that we want to be in, and we're very targeted. These are aged whiskeys, highly aged whiskeys, blended, pricing from $89 on the rye that you're going to try here a little later, up to the first bourbon we put out, that 14, 15 year, that Timeless Reserve with the Platinum. Those extremely high aged bourbons, $279. So these still are, they're targeted toward, somebody that enjoys a really mature aged bourbon. And,
for sure.
and there's a little bit of cost to that for sure.
That unfortunately, that is one of the things. It's not
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah, no.
But it also you
It's
get
a
what you
great
pay for,
buy.
and they taste really good. So because what is the 8 and 15? What's the price run on this one?
$139.
39. Okay, yeah, it's like I said, you get what you pay for, and
Yeah.
you want a really good bourbon. I mean, this. So
Yeah.
hopefully, people can find this close to them and pick it up. You'll be very happy,
Yeah.
to say the least.
And back to what Ricky said, we're not doing it for. We're not trying to. We could make a lower price bourbon.
Oh, sure.
Right. We could make one that's proof to meet a market, that somebody wants, or we could make it to get so many bottles out of it. But really, we have just one goal when we put something together, and I think that's something that maybe helps to set us apart too. Is we have one goal when we put our blends together, and that is what is the very best flavor. So we blend, we select our bourbons for it. We blend for it and we proof for it. And with that one goal in mind, what's the very, very best flavor that we can get out of that?
Perfect. I mean, I wish more companies felt that way. Rather, like I said, no, this is really, really good. Like I said, as it's opened up, it's getting better and better. And I'm sure in another 2 or 3 months, it's going to be even more ridiculously good. So that's the great thing about Oxygen, I find, with whiskey, is it just gets better and better the longer you have the bottle. It's like, so then you have to just, you start telling your friends about it, and that's the problem. Then they start buying the stuff up. So, it's a problem to create, but hey, it's a good problem to have.
It's a problem we like.
Yeah, it's a problem. Exactly. So Eric also wants to know, are you guys doing any double barrel bourbons at all?
So we have done finished bourbons.
Okay.
No double barrels into new barrels.
Okay. What are your finished bourbons you currently have then?
Say again, sorry.
What are your current finished bourbons? What are they finishing and what are they? And let's talk about those.
So the first one we released was in April of last year. Came out at the same time as the first West Rye Batch 1, called our Triple Cask. That was a blend of 8 and 16-year-old Kentucky bourbons that we finished in port, cognac, and rum casks.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It's a really nice blend. So the way we did it was we blended together and then cut it into thirds and aged in those barrels simultaneously so that the blends could kind of marry together properly in those barrels. But it actually went through a second round of blending because we didn't end up putting all of the barrels that we put the distillate into back into the final blend.
Okay.
So we liked it better with a slightly different percentage of the finishes than we had barrels of. So it went through 2 rounds of blending. But then we also have a sherry cask finish that we released September of last year, which a blend of 10 and 13-year-old bourbons from Kentucky and Indiana finished in sherry casks. And that one has been a special one for us. It was the best finished bourbon and best bourbon at the New York World Spirits Competition last year. Was best American whiskey at the John Barleycorn Awards, and was the best finished bourbon for Whiskey Magazine last year.
Yeah, that's really rough, guys. So is it Oloroso, or what type of sherry is it?
We don't exactly know. We've asked the people we bought them from, but they have NDAs and things with them.
Okay.
But we believe, based on the profile, that it's PX.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
So there's kind of a deeper story around that. Is these were some barrels. It's really kind of this shows blending craft, really. I mean, it's won all these awards. It's an exquisite thing, and there are. I think we still have cases in inventory, but it will be gone, and it will not be able to be reproduced. So this was something there was a 13-year-old Kentucky bourbon that had been in these sherry casks that don't say on the outside what they are, but it's PX. But it'd been in there for 6.5 years.
Wow.
So nothing gets finished for 6.5 years, right? I mean, a short one would be 3 or 4 months.
That long.
Yeah, a year and a half would be a longer finish, right?
Sure.
6.5 years
Wow.
in a sherry cask, and honestly, um, it was super strong with sherry. We called it sherry concentrate. And so
That's
what we
awesome.
really did was found a bourbon, and we went through our entire. This is a good example of trying to find a match. And some days it's hard, right? And so we
Sure.
went through our entire inventory. We found one bourbon that really matched with that, and it was a 10-year-old bourbon. And so
Okay.
we kind of backed that sherry cask finish off with that 10-year bourbon,
Okay.
and found that sweet spot where it's got this deep raisiny, rich date kind of flavor to it that 6.5 years in a sherry PX cask will do. But we were able to back it off to where it wasn't concentrated anymore, right? Where you kind of really pulled the flavors of the bourbon into it. And that's one of the things around our finishing too, is we're not trying to cover up when we're using exquisite old whiskeys, right? And we want to finish them, and we'll do a lot more of it.
Sure.
We really still want those whiskeys to come through in that, right? We don't want it to get covered up.
We've all had those where it's like, oh, great, I got a bourbon that tastes like sherry, or a scotch that tastes like sherry, but doesn't still taste like bourbon or scotch.
Yeah. Well, again, if you got a 3-year-old that you
can cover it up.
Leave it in the cask for a year, put it out at 4 years, and cover some stuff up, right?
Absolutely.
But when you've got 8 and 16 or 10 and 13, you want the richness of those bourbons to really come through in that. And so,
okay. Now, are you guys distributing online at all? So people that weren't in the state you guys are in, they can get those bottles by chance?
Yeah, we sell off of our website to like 43 out of the 50 states.
Nice.
So good chance we're in your state. I don't exactly know the 7 that we're not in. But it'll tell you when you.
Or if you're in a state to one of the 7, maybe you have a friend in another state who can send it to them. And they can hand deliver it to you later.
Exactly. There's a solution. There's always a solution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so we sell online. Everything's available there.
And Sealbox represents this as well.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, great group to work with.
Yeah, definitely good one.
Looking at the chat, I saw Eric say something and thought I would clear something up.
Yeah.
So the comment about using the barrel from where we source from. So the sherry cask is the only example of us finishing or using a finished barrel from the place we source from. We bought it in that barrel, but all of the finishes on the triple cask, all the stuff we have now are barrels that we've picked out and sourced and had in most cases shipped over from Europe and some from Jamaica. You can probably figure out what barrels come from Jamaica.
Very nice. Not a bad place to get whiskey from. Of the old barrels that had rum and other beautiful things in them, certainly from Europe. So I can't go wrong with that. Now, Eric also wants to know, do you have any Lafroig or Ardbeg finishes by chance coming out at some point?
We do not.
Not yet.
Okay.
Everything's a possibility.
Now, do you just in general, do you guys like peated scotch or not you guys thing?
Not my thing.
No, not ours.
Okay. Eric, you're probably out of luck, bud. So,
I haven't liked bourbon for forever either. You get
peated bourbons, which is pretty wild to sometimes get those in a cask, especially if you guys wild corns. That might be an interesting experiment to see what happens. You never know.
Yeah.
It could be amazing. Who knows? All right, well, that's cool. Do you guys want to move on to your guys' rye? Or get some other cool bourbons you want to talk about first?
I think we can talk about the rye.
All right, let's move on to rye then. I'm ready to rock and roll with this rye then. All right, show you guys the bottle here. It's beautiful rye. So tell them a little about your awards with this, then we'll get into what this cool thing is.
So this is another product that we are on our second batch of now. The one you're trying today being batch 2, but batch 1, another special product for us at the same New York World Spirits competition that our Sherry Cask won Best Bourbon at. Our rye, our First West Rye, the first batch won Best Rye Whiskey and Best Whiskey overall. So
nice.
Something really cool. Was our first kind of best of winner, our first best in show.
Sweet.
And the cool thing is the New York World Spirits competition being kind of what I consider one of the big 3 competitions had all of the other big brands, Heaven Hill, Sazerac, Wild Turkey, everybody who we want to be competing against and who we hold our standards to and even above. We're in that competition, and we had the honor of.
That's awesome. You know, the big guys. That's so great.
Yeah, so that was a really cool thing for us.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I think that's probably. I mean, to kind of sweep the American Whiskey Awards there. So at that last year's New York Wine and Spirits competition, right? Best finished bourbon,
it's pretty
best
awesome.
bourbon, best rye whiskey, best whiskey overall. I mean,
not too much better than that.
Honestly, we couldn't believe it. You know,
That's awesome.
We love our things, but that's pretty cool. And this rye whiskey that you got there is, you want to talk about the flavors a little, Ricky?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'll start kind of again. This is a continuation of the first batch. The first batch, you'll see the designation on this bottle. Mine is a little bit low for some reason.
You might have liked that one.
Yeah. It says 2-SSDD. It might be backwards for you guys. I can't tell.
Yeah, it says 2. Yeah, it says that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what that means is same stuff, different day. Same spirits, different day. So basically, we loved our winner so much, our best overall whiskey winner, that we took the same distillates like the 8 and 15 to the 7 and 15, a little bit older, and blended them back together. So it is the same distillates that we used in the first batch, just a little more mature. So you kind of get the same effect. Batch 1 being really, really, citrusy. Really, what is it? There's something that I always use to. I'm not going to remember it now, but kind of like candied fruits, that sort of thing. And this one has again toned that fruitiness down, although still much fruitier than the 8 and 15 is, as being one of our fruity bourbons, but kind of has that dried apricot flavor, but you still get some herbalness, some tea, a little bit of honeycomb, a lot of light, sweet flavors. In that, it's really a unique rye. It doesn't remind me of really any other ryes I've had. And that's kind of the cool thing, again, that you get to do with blending is create things that aren't similar to anything else that haven't been created before.
Absolutely.
And so the fun thing about it is I call it the converter, because everybody, we work these shows like the New Orleans. We were just in New Orleans at their festival, and
awesome.
People come up to the booth, try all the product, love it, and then we have a rye and say, "Hey, you should try the rye again." No, I don't like rye.
Oh, try this one anyway.
Just try it. No, I don't like rye. No, I pour them a glass, they'll reluctantly try it. And I've never had somebody try our rye that said they didn't like rye that still didn't like it.
That's awesome.
I either get that's decent or that's really good.
Those are great answers then.
Yeah, I never get I still don't like rye.
I still don't like rye. Well, so what's the, I know it's different states on this one. What's the mash bill approximately on this one?
Actually, they're all 3 95.5 ryes.
Oh, okay, all 3.
Yeah. A blend of 3 95.5s from Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee.
Oh, that's interesting. I like
age 6, 7, and 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had one from all 3 states, let alone combine all 3 states to do it. That's really awesome. Yeah,
so especially with the flavor profile, you wouldn't expect it to all be 95.5s.
Yeah, no, I'm shocked.
Everybody's 95.5. Yeah, everybody's very familiar with one specific 95 mash bill, but this doesn't taste anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's unique and special, and again, we talked about the awards on that batch 1, but batch 2 is in some competitions. We got the first result 3 days ago, Ricky?
Mm-hmm.
So what was the result?
So our batch 2 in the first competition result that we've gotten back for it was best rye whiskey and best whiskey overall. So
Yeah, really rough.
that was the LA Spirits Awards. So
That's awesome. Wow.
yeah, continuing the legacy of batch one.
That's great.
And it just makes us want to work harder, is what it
Yeah,
really
yeah, I bet.
I mean, you know, it just makes us want to try everything we can to keep that flavor as unique and different
Sure.
and special as we can make it. And you're tasting that rye, right? It isn't the
Unique.
standard 95.5.
No.
It's got a funkiness to it. It's got grassiness to it. It's got that sweetness, the apricot nectarine, the candied fruits. It's a very, very different rye. And to have two rye whiskeys that we put out, batch one, batch two, each one a best rye and a best of show whiskey.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
We're tickled. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at $89,
it's a great price.
So I mean, $89.
Well, see, now the problem is I'm just sticking this at the Whiskey Castle. I'm going to stick this up on the top shelf for really amazing stuff, hard to get, because it's going to probably sell out. You keep winning awards like this.
We do have quite a few barrels of this.
That's good news, is it?
Yeah,
so when you guys mix
news.
them, is it about the same proportion or totally different proportion depending which state you guys put into it for your blend?
So the two First West ryes are the same percentages.
Okay. Very cool.
Those two remained the same. We have had our other distillates.
That's the SSDD.
Yep. So it's the same spirits, same blend, same everything. And funny enough, I liked the second batch better.
Yeah,
so both fantastic. I ended up liking the second one better. Everybody has a different opinion. It's all subjective. There's a lot of people
totally
first better, but that second one is it for me. But
I really like it. I like that herbal tea note that you get on this, which you basically have a 95.5. I have no idea how you guys did that. It's usually a 95. You're gonna get something really super spicy, or this is none of those, but in an amazing way.
That's you lose the spice when you do flavor proofing. That's what the flavor proofing
is 105, Eric, and it does not taste like 105, but it is amazing.
That's I think something you'll find throughout our product line. They don't drink their proof.
No.
And that is, like I said, part of what can be attributed to what we call flavor proofing and proofing for the best blend possible, the best blend proof combination possible. Even we have our sherry cask finish that we were talking about that's 115 proof, our highest proof bourbon. Actually was number one on an Uproxx list for bourbons that don't drink their proof.
Sweet. That
thing is amazing. I mean, our proofs tend to be, our lowest is 98, our highest is that 115.
Okay. Very cool.
We tend to be in that 103 to 109. It tends to be a spot where we think it's full enough in flavor, that you capture the richness of all the flavors that are in it, but it's not gotten so high on the alcohol. At some point, that alcohol starts to impact those flavors, right?
It becomes a distraction as well.
Yeah, it really does. And
Makes
so we're
sense.
trying to find that. We're trying to find that match where you get the full richness of flavor without the alcohol, starting to work against you.
Absolutely. Okay, I do love you guys comment though the without filtration. That's fantastic that you guys do that instead of putting non-chill filtered. I love that. That's just a little stick it to them right there.
Yeah,
just great.
Well, and we are, again, it's about flavor, right? For us,
yeah, absolutely.
Whatever in our process, and back to what we look at is best flavor, and we're not really thinking about taking $1 of cost out. What we're thinking about is there anything we can do that would make this any better? And so that's a different perspective. We're not trying. If we could take $1 out, we're not trying to make a super expensive whiskey, right? If we could take $1 out and we can produce that best flavor, all over it, right? I mean, we would do that in an instant, but we don't want to sacrifice. We don't want to sacrifice flavor in 15 stars for anything, and that's going to be our mantra forevermore. We will bring in some products that have a little younger whiskey that we can make a little more price approachable. Sure. And it'll probably be 6, 7s, 8s, in that range. And so we can work, if we can keep those super extra age bourbons out of it, we're going to make some expressions with that. We'll probably put it under another brand, to be honest.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Sponsored by 15 Stars, because we want 15 Stars to always be, it'll be they're handcrafted, right? They're not made at scale.
Right.
They're our work. And we want it to be that forevermore. And so there'll be more limited releases, more special bourbons. But we will try and do something that we can produce at a little more scale.
Sure.
And that will help us as our bourbons that we distilled, right? And we make those bourbons. And we're distilling over a dozen mash bills right now. So of our own distillation, over a dozen mash bills.
That's cool.
And so we've set ourselves up to be able to blend some things at a more reasonable cost, where we can still get some wonderful flavor out of that, and do it at at a little more scale than we can with 15 Stars. 15 Stars is artisanal.
So speaking of scale, like how many bottles are usually in a batch approximately that you guys have done?
Well, the last one was 300 bottles, but
alrighty then. So not many.
But no, we've done as many as 5,000.
Okay.
A couple thousand bottles, typical.
Okay, nice. So it's still like you said, not a large amount.
Yeah. So we should talk about the 300 though, Ricky. Ricky kind of picked out something that's he kind of designed this, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So this is our first single barrel. We actually have no idea what we're going to do with it yet, but what happened was, what was it? Late last year, we rebarreled into a bunch of the finishing barrels I was talking about. We got some that we knew kind of had an idea what they'd turn out like, and some that we just thought would be fun. So we're looking at all the barrels that are available, whatever, and I see orange wine. And I don't at the time even know what orange wine is.
Yeah.
But it sounds good. I've learned about it since. It was actually there's a distinction. It was Vino de Naranja barrels, which is a Spanish wine. So white grapes, and they're orange peels fermented with the grapes to make the wines. So a really neat thing. So we got one of those barrels. We only got one Vino de Naranja, I guess, just because we had no clue what it would turn out like. So we didn't want to dump a ton of juice into it.
Yeah.
But we tried it after 8 months in the barrel, and it ended up being one of my favorite whiskeys we'd ever made.
Pretty special.
Awesome.
A really, really nice thing. And as you can imagine, very citrusy. And we put a blend of 2 different 8-year-old Kentucky bourbons into it.
Okay.
Lighter bourbons for 8-year-old, pretty fruity in their own right, even unfinished. So complemented that very well. So the idea was get it out of the finishing barrel as soon as possible, because that can go south.
Sure.
One day and not so great thing the next. So we dumped those barrels into a tote. While we waited on our labels, we just said we don't want it to age anymore.
No, that'd be bad.
Stop. Yeah,
for real.
Exactly. And ended up bottling. I have it right here. Actually, it's the Vino de Naranja.
Very cool. Now, is that available to buy yet or not yet?
It is not available anywhere at the moment.
Yeah, it just went into the bottles, and as Ricky said, we're trying to figure out it's so limited, right? That we're trying to figure out what do we really do when we bring it to market. And it's back to that is we really don't, that's probably another good way to say it. We're not thinking about how we get it sold.
Sure.
We're thinking about is it great and how do we make it great? We'll figure that part out later. And
that looks
it'll go in limited quantities to some states, and maybe we'll give an exclusive online for a little while just to
that'd be cool.
Those that follow us online, that get our newsletters, and follow us on Instagram, give them a chance to get one of 300 bottles.
Yeah, for real. That sounds amazing. I don't.
Yeah, but it's a really special thing, and and maybe it's worthwhile saying too. We have what we call a reference collection.
Okay.
And so so when we're putting our whiskeys together, we're not doing it isolated, and part of the deal with working with aged whiskeys is we're acquiring all the special releases that all the major distilleries put out.
Okay.
And whether it's Pappy or whether it's birthday bourbon or whatever it is, all the special stuff.
Sure.
And those are the things that we're kind of comparing against when we blend, and we're trying to work in that category. And of course, you don't find any of those super aged things in a VDN. But we did acquire again a group of VDN things to make sure that when you stand our stuff up against somebody else, and this is a very kind of like the rye is a very different 95.5 rye. This VDN is very different than any other VDN.
Yep.
Interesting.
Also, that product, and kind of helps answer Eric's latest question. That is the only product that we've bottled at cask strength so far. That VDN actually is a very low cask strength at 102.8 proof.
Wow.
Yeah. So very low, so still very smooth. But our other products, none of those have been at cask strength. The sherry cask finish actually is only 3 proof below what the blend is at cask strength.
Nice.
It's 115 and cask strength was 118, but we liked it better at 115, so that's what it got bottled at.
That sounds amazing, though. Yeah, has there been any other bourbon aged in that special orange wine that I've never even heard of?
So Starlight has done a couple. Nulu did one.
There's some good products out there.
Really. But not. I believe we have a very strong contender for the best Vino de Naranja finished product.
Okay,
a convincing product.
That sounds like something we need to try if it goes out.
I'm excited to get it out. I like it a lot.
Yeah, so let us know for sure when it gets released, if it's something people can get online. That way they can grab it. That sounds like an amazing thing to try. And like I've never had anything in that wine cast. I've had a lot of weird stuff, but nothing like that. And I love different wine finishes. That sounds amazing. You're speaking my language, to say the least. So, that's awesome. So what other fun projects do you guys have in the works?
Well, what was our latest release, Ricky?
We released our First West Bourbon, so a blend of 7, 9, and 15-year-old bourbons from Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee. We bottled that mid-2022, but no reason for us not releasing it. It just didn't fit into our release schedule until now, but it was one of 2 finalists at the New York World Spirits Competition in 2022 for Best Straight Bourbon. So, and it's been one of my favorites since we bottled it, so I'm glad that that's finally getting out. But we have some cool things not released that we're working on. One of those.
Talk about it, or they're still secrets.
One we can talk about.
Okay.
Which is our triple cask batch 2. So the first triple cask was a blend of port, cognac, and rum casks.
Okay.
This one is going to turn out to be cognac, rum, and apple brandy.
Ooh.
No port in this one.
Okay.
So it's you would think having 2 barrels be the same thing, that it would be fairly similar, but it is a very different product. One of the cool things, so I mentioned we didn't put all of the barrels that we finished in back into the triple cask 1. One of the cognac barrels that's going in triple cask 2 was meant for the original triple cask, has been in that cognac barrel for 2 years now.
Wow.
So that was the barrel that we left out of triple cask, and it's going into triple cask batch 2.
We've got a pretty good inventory of nice aged bourbons in finishing casks. So we've got a pretty good group of things that'll be coming out over time, both bourbon and rye. We got some rye whiskey in there as well.
Now you guys doing some ryes in different wine casks and different fun things as well, or not quite yet?
Well, we haven't released anything.
Didn't release any. Okay.
It's in there. We're just letting it develop. We're not rushing it. We did rush the VDN. You're right. It hit a spot where we said, just grab it.
Absolutely.
It's not going to get any better than this. Just grab it.
No, that's very cool.
Yeah, and then I guess the other thing that we're getting ready to bottle that we think, let's just say we have not run into this ever being done before. We can't say for sure, but we haven't run into one, and we haven't found anybody that knows one. But a product we're going to call Three Kings.
Okay.
And so it's a blend of 3 whiskeys.
Okay.
A 95.5 wheat whiskey, a 95.5 rye whiskey, and a rye-based bourbon. So actually 2 bourbons. So 2 bourbons that we thought we could blend the 2 bourbons to get. We got a little, again, flavor, that we thought, made a little richer, better thing. But the wheat whiskey itself is an exquisite thing. They're all great. The wheat whiskey I just absolutely love. It's so different, right? But
I don't see a lot of that at all.
But to have three kings, so wheat whiskey, rye, and bourbon blended together, got something that we think's really, really special and different. And these are all aged, so minimum age on those is 11 years. So 11 to again, I think it went up to 15, but minimum age 11 years. So seriously aged whiskeys of a varieties that I don't think has been blended together before.
I can't like
see, it's a great whiskey. We'll see if anybody looks at it and says, "What's that?" I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
as long as it tastes good, that's all that matters.
I think so. But sometimes we wonder, do you get rewarded for doing something really different? A lot of times people like what they're used to, right?
Sure.
I mean, I'm comfortable with it. I know it. I like it, and a little twist, but something totally different. And I would say, does it taste totally different? You can what we did there, and Ricky put the blend together, is you can pull all of those whiskeys out of that. And back to that idea of getting the flavors balanced, right? You can pull each of those whiskeys out of that blend. So we're excited about that. That'll come out this fall.
I just blended together these 2. That's really nice blended together.
I believe it.
I was like, we're talking about blending. I got to blend them together.
Just got to try. Huh?
You need to never be scared to blend. If you have something, you're like, I shouldn't blend it. It's not.
Yeah, we've freaked out distillers before. We took all their stuff together and blended. They're like, what did you do? I'm like, I made a really awesome blend that tastes better than what I had before.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't always happen, right?
No, it doesn't always happen. A lot of times it's man, and sometimes it makes magic.
But in some of the times, that's exactly kind of the start here, right? Is can you find something that feels like magic, and then you start dialing it in.
Exactly.
Right? So it feels good. You can do it somewhat casually at the start, because you can tell right off if it's not working at all.
For sure.
Go down the road, right? It's not fruitful. But if you do find some things that really, really do start making magic, you can dial that magic in. It's an art, and it's a craft, and it takes a palate, and it takes a nose, and it takes time, and it takes dedication. So it isn't all magic.
Right.
But you need the magic. It's kind of like luck. You gotta work hard to get luck, right? Yeah. You don't get lucky if you don't work hard, and
that's for sure.
And the magic doesn't happen either if you don't
spend
the time with it.
I like you guys are blending different whiskeys together too. I love like Boo Rise and that legacy. That Three Kings, I've never heard anything like that. That sounds really cool. But I love you guys are also not afraid to experiment way outside the normal range of things. That's just really cool, and it sounds like you're making amazing products.
Yeah,
when these are blended together. So this is super exciting.
Well, you kind of have to, right? I mean, the bourbon world has a lot of there are a lot of players.
Right.
There's a lot of really good players, right?
Absolutely.
That do great. There's great people doing great work. that have built an industry that produces outstanding liquid, right?
No
And
doubt.
so to come into that as, somewhat outsiders, I mean, we have to open our mind.
Sure.
We're not gonna. We've got to do something that's a little bit unique and different. And we started with our corns, right, which is clearly nobody else has got that. And then a blending and the ability to, a willingness, let's call it, the willingness to be open about it and try it.
True.
And if it's not working, to quit, right?
Yeah,
Don't quit. Put it away. Quit. And then, but then where you see a little bit of a trail that offers an opening, follow it.
Yeah, and there's definitely a huge opening in blending because there's a few brands, but not a lot. Let alone doing with older stock and really fun finishes and just the good news.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a tremendous amount of work.
It's a lot of work, and you're making incremental differences, right? I mean, if you get a great Kentucky bourbon that's 14 years old, on its own, it's going to be a gorgeous thing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's well made, aged in Kentucky, it's going to be a wonderful thing. And so the increment that you get on it is we think worth going after, but it's a lot of work for, the thing would be great. Just put it in a bottle. It'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you guys source from multiple distilleries in Kentucky, or just one, or just kind of whatever you guys find available on the barrel market?
Multiple in every avenue we can scrounge to find
Perfect.
something really unique and different.
Now, are you guys opposed to getting stuff from other states at some point in time, or you just want to concentrate on those three, or just kind of whatever's cool you guys find and blends fun, like something from Texas or California or Washington or something like that? Or
we haven't really explored outside that. If you just think about that again, that Kentucky is the heart of bourbon, and it's that area of the country that we believe produces the very finest flavors in the aging. And of course, Indiana and Tennessee, Southern Indiana, Tennessee, it's kind of right in that same sweet spot. We like that sweet spot. We like what that does. I don't think we'd rule anything out.
Sure.
But there's a lot, there is a rich group of outstanding products in that area that we feel very comfortable that we can work with.
Very cool.
Ricky, I don't know if you got it. We haven't really, we've tasted a few others, but we just love it, and we think
got a
lot of opportunity.
It clearly works, that's for sure. So the awards alone, let alone that the taste is amazing on these, so you can't go wrong with that. Now, do you guys have any like Scotch barrels or Armagnac or anything like that? You guys have finished some stuff at all yet, or not quite to that extent?
No Scotch, also no Armagnac, but I like Armagnac a lot, so
I love Armagnac.
I would enjoy doing that for sure.
Love to see if you guys, because I know obviously there's some other people that have used those, and not a lot use Armagnac, but what I've had has been really good. So based on what these are, I'd love to see you guys do an Armagnac. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, I agree completely. I might have to.
Is there any wild type of wine or anything you guys have not got a hold of that you want to get a hold of and try experimenting with?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't. We're still at the point where it's we're working with what we have available.
Sure.
We can reach out to people to source, but it's still limited what there is available to us.
Okay.
Yeah. But we've got a pretty good inventory of different things. But nothing that's VDN was probably the most different thing that we have in the mix. But we got multiple variations of all the traditional things.
Very cool.
That we're aging with. And maybe there's one other award that we ought to just mention that we think really that we feel really proud about is IWSC, the International Wine and Spirits Competition.
Yes.
And we've made, it's like on that first visit where we had that first bourbon that was a finalist for Best Bourbon at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. We took Ricky and I and Ricky's sister and mom. So we took the family out to San Francisco. Had a great weekend there. We didn't come home with best bourbon, but hey, first bourbon out, one of 4 finalists.
Yeah, you can't really complain.
That's a win. We just call that a win, right? And
For real.
and same thing with IWSC. We took the family to London.
Nice.
And for the International Wine and Spirits competition, we put five of our whiskey blends into that competition. And based on those 5 whiskey blends, we were one of 4 finalists for the Worldwide Whiskey Producer Trophy for 2023. So we were really super proud about that.
That's awesome.
There's a rich group of products. The 7 and 15 version was in there. What all was in that? The First West Dry,
Well,
triple cask.
I think it was First West Bourbon, Triple Cask, Platinum. Our next Timeless Reserve that isn't out yet.
Yeah,
And
13 year.
one other that I'm spacing on.
Yeah. And that 13-year Timeless Reserve is another thing that'll come out. So that first bourbon that we had of 14 and 15 year that was that finalist at San Francisco, we have a 13 and 15-year-old blend. Same distillery, same sources, but a 13 and 15-year-old blend of that same liquid that we'll release this fall.
Very cool. That's exciting. So that also a very limited release again of that one, or you still have
Yeah, pretty limited. I don't remember how many bottles in that. Do you, Ricky?
I want to say
1,500?
I was going to say 1650.
Something
Okay,
like that.
I think
Well,
that's
you-
what it says.
you might
Out.
have an opportunity to actually get it, so that's a plus.
Yeah, there's some bottles out there. There'll be some bottles.
Very nice.
Yeah, really nice blend.
That's cool. Now, are you guys making just bourbons, or are you guys trying to think of like single malts or any other interesting type of whiskeys? I know you said the wheat and stuff, or anything else besides that?
We got
No,
our hands full.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to wonder, with starting out and distilling over a dozen mash bills and having all those unique corns and putting them in the barrel. We've kind of wiggled that around, but as low as 103 on the red, white, and blue corn. Most of what we do, we're putting in a barrel at 120. We kind of started with lower barrel entries. And we started to wonder about some of that. We still are doing some 103. We'll keep doing that, but we've eased up toward the 120 area because, quite frankly, we expect a lot of these to be in those barrels for into their teens, and depending on where it's sitting in that warehouse, right? We want it to maintain the proof, right? We don't want to end up, a 97 proof barrel.
Yeah, because how tall is you guys' rick house? How many stories is it?
Well, we are contract distilling at Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Oh, okay.
We are in those rick houses. So traditional rick houses. Yeah.
That works. So that's fun. So are you guys yourselves going over there and distilling, or are they distilling it for you guys?
Yeah, they do it with our corns. We ship our corns. We give them our recipes. They're contract distilling. Great team there is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think everybody knows. We're so appreciative of the support they give us and the flexibility they give us. Right to really craft something the way we want it, to spec that, and then they execute on it with precision. And it's a group of people that we trust in terms of the work that they do, and that we just personally like as well, right? So
that's always a positive for sure.
Call them friends. That's the way we look at it.
Now, are you guys using a column still or a pot still or a combination thereof?
Column.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
That sounds. Yeah. I'm excited for all of you guys' stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun set of years as we see what rolls out of that. At some point, it will probably. I think on 15 stars, we're always going to keep that a really artisanally crafted group of things. At some point, right, we will have these products that we're distilling. They will be blended, with our same level of care. But they'll be able to be bought daily at some fairly reasonable prices. So that's our goal, and so that'll be we never want the fun of it to go away. You know,
Right.
we'll get that blended in, and we'll have something that's standard and that again is more approachably priced.
Sure.
But we want to keep some of that real craftsmanship, artisanship, and fun into trying a lot of different things.
Absolutely,
we'll never quit that.
Yeah, that's really fun. So you guys think you're gonna wait till like 7 or 8 years at least, probably before you guys put out your own product, or just kind of see how it goes, and it is what it is when it gets there because
it'll be 6 anyway.
6 at least.
We got to taste it. I say it's 6 is when it's probably a candidate. We've had a lot of people say, you know, taste it and say, put it out, you know, and it is different and interesting and would be received well, but we really just want to. We want it to be
golden.
Sure. We think it can be. So yeah.
Now
we're patient.
That's the good thing. At least you guys are the patient, because as you know, unfortunately, sometimes they're not patient and they go blind to their own craft, and it's like, but it's just not good, as we well know. So it's like, yeah, it's great you guys are having the patience to do this, and it's hard up there to wait. Go, but it's really good, but it can be even better if you wait another year or two.
It is kind of hard when you're a startup too, right? Now we've been in businesses before, so we've got some capability to, you know, to carry it. But when you start up, I mean, you're excited about it, right?
Sure, absolutely. Especially since you guys are the first to do these times. That's the even more exciting part. And the only ones that can do it with you guys having those strains as your proprietary strains. It's really cool.
Yeah, those corns are cool. Yeah. Well, in Black Jewel, we think it'll be fun to take this Black Jewel popcorn that uses those corns. And, you know, there'll be a bunch of retailers where we can combine that corn, very unique corns with a very unique bourbon made out of those corns. That's going to be kind of fun, you know, bourbon and popcorn tasting.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I was like. So when do I get the popcorn? And can you get a combo set of the popcorn and the bourbon together? Because I wanted to try them together for sure.
I guess what we said is if it all goes to hell, we're going to have plenty of bourbon and popcorn.
See, there you go. You got a good place. There could be worse ways to go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic. All right, anything else you want to tell anybody else, or is that pretty much all the fun, or any other special fun stories you guys want to share?
Got some good stuff coming.
Yeah,
sounds like it.
And again, I think, you know, the thing that we really love about this business is the people and the ability. There's a lot of the world that has lost the craftsmanship. And it's about shipping something to some faraway country and saving a dime. And the whiskey business overall is not that. It's a bunch of craft people, artisan people trying to produce really unique and different things. That's a great environment to be in. It's great to work with Ricky and his daughter. My daughter Annie, his sister, is also in our popcorn business. So great to work as a family.
Awesome.
And it's great to work on some products that can lift up those special occasions that other families have, right, and friends. And so it's just it's a pleasure to be part of a really, really cool business, making some cool products for some really special times for people.
Absolutely, yeah. It's exciting. So I'm glad I can tell everybody that tried this stuff they can get it online, hopefully. So hopefully we'll get it to the States again. If not, maybe even better, you can go get it off the shelf if you're lucky, so which would be awesome. Super impressed with both of these. I'm like, yeah, these at our Whiskey Castle for the classes, we'll definitely be putting these on the top shelf for sure. So have people come try these, and hopefully they can order some after the fact. So these are fantastic, though. So I love them.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to tell our story.
Absolutely. I love the story. I love the history and all this stuff. And like I said, I'm a huge history and whiskey nerd. So I couldn't ask for anything better to get put together than these two things. So, and you get told some stories I didn't even know about, like the whole coin thing and
take a look on our website. We've got a collection there. We have not everything on the website. We've got a total of about 150 items of Kentucky or American history that represent Kentucky as the 15th state or the craftsmanship of Kentucky. So there's some really, really cool things on there that, you know, are have stood the test of time, and that's what we say about our bourbons. We want to produce bourbons.
Yeah, for sure. Now, do you guys have like a museum for those type of things at all, or
we will at some point have a tasting room that will be
cool.
a tasting room / museum where we can put we can exhibit those things, and all of the things in that collection are from that period of the 15-star flags, 1795 to 1818. So really iconic pieces of American history related to Kentucky, and Kentucky, the history of artisanship in Kentucky.
That's awesome. So when do you guys plan to open that up? Or is that in the works currently, or is it just a future plan type thing?
We're looking.
Okay.
Yeah, when we find the right spot.
Yeah, that does help. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you guys plan to do that there in Indiana or somewhere else?
Oh no, Kentucky for sure.
Definitely in Kentucky. Okay.
Yeah. No, Bardstown or Louisville or Lexington. What a wonderful city! What 3 wonderful cities, right? Very different.
Can't really go wrong with any of them.
But we love those 3 cities, and we love a lot of Kentucky. But those are 3 special spots from a whiskey standpoint.
Yeah, this is awesome.
And history.
Yeah, definitely a lot of history. I learned a lot. I like that, it's called First West, which at first got this, I'm like, what the hell is First West? So, of course, we've learned tonight what it is. So that's really cool. It's just, I love it all. I love that you guys have gone to all the, just the incredible detail you guys have gone to and everything. It's just, like you said, that craftsmanship just really shows up, and it's great. Oh, that's our buddy Chris. He's down in Australia. So that's the question. Are you guys doing anything internationally shipping at all yet, or not to that point yet?
Not to that point.
Not to that point, okay. So, Chris, when you come back through Texas, you got to try these. So these are awesome. Or you get over to somebody else. Fantastic stuff. Thankfully, they come to the States usually once a year, so from Australia. So they have quite the bourbon collection down there.
There you go.
So that'll be good. So, well, thank you guys very much. This was awesome. I really appreciate you guys coming on and talking about these. And I'm looking really forward to all the amazing stuff you guys are going to do, and check these things out, because holy crap, I'm impressed. So there's not all the new brands that I'm really impressed with. This is really impressive. So thank you guys very much, and we look forward to what you guys are doing in the future. And have you on anytime you guys want to come on. Just let us know. We'll definitely do that. And I'm going to cheers out. I'll let you guys stay there for a minute. We'll talk after the stream ends here. So cheers, everybody out there. Thanks for you guys being on. We'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right.